You are watching KSL News at 4.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Leaders of the Utah State Bar staking their opposition to a slate of bills that they say would remake the court system and threaten its independence. News specialist Daniel Woodruff live for us at the Capitol on what they had to say today. Daniel?
Well, Mike, first off, the timing of this news conference today was interesting because one of the most closely watched bills that adds 2 new justices to the state Supreme Court is already law. Governor Spencer Cox just signed Senate Bill 134 into law this past weekend. Besides adding to the Supreme Court, it also puts more judges on the Court of Appeals and the district courts. But members of the bar still gathered today to criticize that new law and other proposals that are out there dealing with the judiciary. One would change the makeup of the state sentencing commission, while others would impact how judges are nominated and retained.
What we do know is that if you cut away bit by bit into the Constitution and the rule of law, then not only does the judiciary suffer, but our society suffers.
KSL asked Senate Republican leaders today about the bar's concerns. One of them told us they'll consider which policies are needed for the courts and take a look at each of them as they come across. Lawmakers will keep discussing all of these proposals dealing with the judiciary throughout the remainder of the legislative session, which runs through March 6th. Mike?
All right, Daniel Woodruff live at the Capitol tonight. Daniel, thank you. In Washington, a partial government...
The bill at the Utah State Legislature that has both landlord and tenant groups saying no way.
A fresh layer of
$35 million a year. Landlord and tenant groups are uniting here to oppose a bill that they say would increase rents in Utah. News specialist Daniel Woodruff live for us at the Capitol with what this proposal is really all about. Daniel?
Mike, this bill would make a change to property taxes in Utah that would have landlords paying more. But opponents worry that will only end up hurting those who can least afford it. Utah has more rental housing than it used to, which bothers Senator Dan McKay.
I am deeply concerned about the future of home ownership for the youth in our country, and especially in Utah.
He blames a tax incentive called the residential property tax exemption. In Utah, property owners can claim that on their own homes and on homes they rent out, keeping their tax bills lower. So McKay wants to change that, allowing just one exemption per household and effectively raising property taxes for landlords.
We highly respect Senator McKay, but this is just a bad idea.
Paul Smith leads the Rental Housing Association of Utah, which represents landlords.
Costs of providing rental housing are already extravagant. Increasing costs is a bad idea because it will increase rents.
The Utah Housing Coalition, which represents tenants, agrees.
Renters are already pretty cost burdened. Anything that increases like people's rents or day-to-day lives, you know, is something that is pretty concerning to us.
I own rental properties as well, so this directly impacts me.
But McKay thinks it's a conversation worth having.
My question for my colleagues is, should we continue this policy where the exemption applies to rentals and we're getting more and more rentals?
Now, this bill has only started moving through the legislative process here. It's passed a committee, now awaiting a vote in the full Senate before the end of the legislative session, which comes in March. Daniel Woodruff, live at 5.
All right, Daniel, thank you. A new bill aimed at protecting construction workers has been introduced into the legislature. House Bill 245 sets a minimum wage for certain jobs by county. It also establishes requirements for record keeping, and it creates penalties for companies that do not comply. That can include criminal charges for contractors who don't pay the established minimum wage. Some big news tonight coming out of Italy.